folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to Board Game Breakfast. Woo! It's another week, and I'm excited to come to you with more board game stuff. We have fantastic contributors on board. We have all kinds of stuff we're going to talk about this time. This week, on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm going to be in LA. I'm going to be recording with Above Board. It's a TV show that they're recording, and they're going to try to get somewhere on a station. And so there's actually opportunities to be a live audience member, possibly. So we'll try to put a link for that in the description below. But with that being said, we better get started with this show. I'm excited. Here we go. Okay, so what is on the internet this week? This is a section where I talk about interesting things I find on the internet. If you would like to send me links and things to focus on at this point, you can do that at tom@dicetower.com. So I found an article on Toy News Online where they talked about using technology in games. This is something that sometimes board gamers are like, no, but it's going to become a thing. And we're starting to see it used in some really intriguing ways, and this article talks a little bit about that. I found two really cool threads on Reddit. One was, what are your most shameful acts of board game acquisition? So, like, how much have you spent and then you never played the game? Or something to that effect. You know, I just found that interesting. And if you feel like you spent too much on board games, maybe you can go there to feel better about yourself. But that's one end of the spectrum. The other thread I found was, I don't know how Pandemic Legacy ends and I never will. So, this is an interesting thread where a person talks about how they were playing Pandemic Legacy with someone and that person passed away, and because of that they don't really feel like going back and finishing the game. And so this kind of brings out some emotions and things, and I found that to be another interesting thread talking about that sort of again, it's interesting to me to see the human behavior mixed with board gaming. Board Game Squad published an article on how to save money when buying games. That makes a lot of sense. Board games can be pretty expensive, so this article gives you some tips. Board Game Geek reported that Indie Game Studios is suing Plan B over Great Western Trail. I know both these companies, have a lot of friends in both companies, so I don't really have any comment. I don't know anything about this from outside sources other than this article, but apparently this sort of thing is happening in the industry now. Eric Sommer, famous co-host of the Dice Tower. If you haven't listened to him, you should listen to Dice Tower. And he was on Sporadically Bored on their podcast talking about celebrity because he's so famous. And then finally, the Dragon's Tomb did a video on Citadels. If you've never seen them, they do reviews on games, but completely make up rules to a new game. This one is about pie. That doesn't make any sense at all, but when you watch the video, it is hilarious. Those are the things I found on the internet this week. Let's keep going with the rest of the show.
This is Roy and Canada, and this is Printed Pieces. We're talking about 3D printing and what it can bring to the board gaming hobby. Last week I talked about a cool Batman Gotham City insert. I haven't got my copy of the game yet, but I was able to print out one of the trays for it so far. This was pretty cool because it took up my entire bed. I actually found out some of those trays are actually bigger than the bed on my Ender 3. The Ender 3 is like a 9-inch by 9-inch bed, and some of the inserts that were actually part of that STL file were huge. So I'm gonna have to look into slicing it and maybe printing it out in two pieces and gluing it together. There's a lot of different things you can do to have workarounds if your 3D printer isn't big enough to print out some certain things. This is really cool because this will have spaces to hold the cards in it, and then also spaces to just have different tokens for the game. I really wish I could show you all of the different Batman Gotham City Chronicles stuff in here, but I haven't got my copy yet, so hopefully it's on the way, but maybe I'll get it all printed out by the time the game comes in, and I'll just be ready to go. That's one of the cool things about 3D printing is that there's all sorts of people making cool 3D printed stuff for board games out there, and you can just find a game that you love, look it up on Thingiverse, see if there's different pieces for it. I know one of the things that I really want to do next is make some things for Journeys to Middle-earth because I love that game. It's just really cool to bling out your board games with exciting 3D printed stuff. So, hey, hopefully you're having fun with these 3D printed segments. I'm definitely having fun doing them, and hopefully share with me some stories about your interest in 3D printing or some of the things that you've printed. Well, make sure to leave that in the comments below, and make sure to check those, and I'll see you on the next 3D printed pieces. Peace.
folks, welcome back to another Just Missed It segment here on Board Game Breakfast. Today we're going to be talking about this game right here, Sailblazer. Now, Sailblazer is a nautically themed game that I really do enjoy nautically themed games, but it just missed the mark of being something that I want to keep around in on my shelf, because there have been other nautically themed games that I have really enjoyed a lot better than this. I really wanted to enjoy it, but it just didn't make it. It felt like it was undercooked. It felt like it needed to have some more development in there to maybe a couple of different groups of people. Again, I don't know anything about how this game was developed, how it was designed, or anything like that, or the story path that it had to go through, the journey. All I know is that when we played the game, it just felt undercooked. Like, it could have been so much better. The prologue cards that are in there and the interlude and the epilogue cards provide this storytelling mechanism that would have been great. But you got to the end of that, reading your epilogue card that you were assigned, you were supposed to read because of you accomplished this throughout the course of the game, didn't give you anything. Nothing. Didn't give you any extra bonus points. Didn't give you any extra of this, so that if you were trying to do this aspect of the game, you did a little bit better. It didn't do any of that. It just said, hey, here's your new nickname, and you finished the game. Good job. That was it. So the storytelling mechanism was definitely underbaked, just not fleshed out at all. And that was a disappointment to me, huge disappointment, because I like story arcs, I like storylines within games, and this one just kind of said, oh, look, here's a storyline. Psych. Not really. I liked how there were three different ages, and the ages ramped up a little bit from age to age, but the luck of the draw was really strong in this one, because log cards were able to be drawn when you explored, but only if a certain icon showed up on the tile that you flipped over while you were exploring could you draw a log card. And so it turned out to where sometimes you would draw a tile and it would have a log card on it. Oh, this is a okay log card. And then this other person would explore and they can draw a log card. Oh, wow, that's a really nice log card. Wow, I'm going to explore again. Maybe I'll get that one. Oh, this is another bad one. Or, look, I explored. Oh, there's no explore log. There's no log card icon on this one, so I can't do it. So luck of the draw was really heavy in it as well. And I usually don't have a problem with it, but the two combined really kind of made it difficult for me. So it was okay. It was okay. It just wasn't great. It just missed the mark of greatness, and I really wanted to like it, and I really didn't like it as much as I really wanted to. Sorry. So that's about it for another Just Missed It segment here on Board Game Breakfast. Let's get back to the rest of your breakfast.
For today's Chop Shop, that is a game I'm letting go from my collection. I'm taking a look at this one here, Motainai. This is a game by Carl Chudik, and this is a design that is very much inspired by his earlier Glory to Rome. There's a couple of reasons why I'm letting this one go. The first one being the most obvious one, I own Glory to Rome, and a third game in this series of games, a game called Uchronia that came out second after Glory to Rome, but before this one came out. And while this is the smallest, it's the most economical one, the one that does the most with the fewest components, I also find it to be one that is just as thinky and complex as the other ones, but lacks a little bit of sort of apparent clarity. It's one that once you learn it and you know how to play, you can do quite well in, and it'll have good flow. But it's a thinky game, and it's a hard one to play well. And so, having a game that is, very similar to two other games, owning all three of those games would make sense if those hit the table a lot, A, and B, if they were easy to teach, and meaning they might be able to hit the table a lot. These are not. Uchronia is a little lighter than the other two, so that one sees more table time. But then if I want to step it up and play something more complicated, I have Glory to Rome. So I find that a little more engaging than Motainai. This one was always the odd one out of the three for me. I know many people out there find this to be their favorite one, but I do think it is the weakest of the three offerings, and I just enjoy it less. So it has a hard time competing when space is at a premium to stay on the shelf. However, if you don't have Glory to Rome, and Glory to Rome is very hard to find, then this, I think, is a good substitute for that. If you really want to try that, you want to see what it's like, then this is the one to get. You're going to get a very good approximation of that, what that design felt like, how it played. I like Uchronia the best myself, but that one seems to be the weakest, if according to most people. People don't seem to like that one as much. So there you go, Motainai, a neat concept, a very cool distillment of the original Glory to Rome into just about 54 cards or so. A very clever amount of game in this little box. But for me, I'm happy with the other two. So Motainai here has got to go. And that's it for me on this Chop Shop. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your breakfast.
So what's coming out from the Dice Tower this week? Well, it's expansion week. I'm going to be taking a look at all the cool stuff that comes for the Lords of Hellas Kickstarter extra stuff. I'll be taking a look at the Dice Forge expansion and the Organized Crime Noir. This is the expansion for Chronicles of Crime. I'm taking a look at that. Some new Dice Master stuff, some Transformers stuff, and a couple other reviews over the course of the week. Of course, we'll be having live board game breakfast. We'll be having other reviews going up over the course of this week from everybody else. And so check out our channel for that. And, of course, our podcast goes up every Tuesday. If you've never listened to Dice Tower Podcast, it's an audio show every Tuesday. And it's not the only show on the Dice Tower Network. We have a ton of them. At the beginning of the show, I mentioned Sporadically Bored, but there are many different podcasts that you can listen to, and all those can be found on DicetowerNetwork.com. And finally, on Friday, we'll be doing a live where me and the other guys are playing a party game, Unrivaled. So you want to come back and check that out. And then, above all, this week I'm going to be doing a little video that shows how I do a board game review. So I thought that'd be funny. The anatomy of a board game review. Not funny, but interesting, I guess is the right word for it. Where you can go and see how a game comes in, and from start to finish, how we do a board game review. All right, that's what's coming from the Dice Tower this week. Let's keep going.
Hi, we're Board Game Opinions. I'm Steve.
I'm Jonathan.
I'm Amy.
I'm Nathan.
And we're back with another speed quiz. This time these guys have to get any game in the top 400 on Board Game Geek that is listed as specifically 2 players. So that's not 2 players, but sometimes plays more. That's exactly 2 players. They get 2 points if they get one that I haven't played, 1 point if they get one that I have. Off we go. We're going to start this time with Amy.
Odin's Ravens.
Odin's Ravens is not there.
Twilight Struggle.
Twilight Struggle is there. That is Miles.
Patchwork.
Patchwork is there. That
Blossoms.
is Blossoms. Jonathan. Blossoms is not there.
Gipf.
Gipf is not there.
Jaipur.
Jaipur is a great guess, Jonathan. That is a point.
Starfighters.
Starfighters is not there.
Yinch.
Yinch is there. Miles, Nathan can have a point.
Devon.
Devon is there.
Sorry.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to pass for the moment.
Tsar.
Tsar is there.
Oh, really?
I can't
Yeah.
remember the name.
Gipf is the worst one on the list, I think.
Agricola, all creatures, big and small.
Oh, well, I've played you that, so it's only worth a point. Alright, pass from Amy.
Blockus Duo.
Blockus Duo is a good shout, actually, but it is not in the top 400.
It's 2-player.
I'm going to open up to the floor.
Sherlock Holmes. The Minecraft.
It's not there.
Lord of the Rings Confrontation.
Lord is there, and I've not played it. It's worth a 2-pointer.
Hive. Good, that one.
Hive is a good one, yeah, I love Hive.
yeah.
Chess is a point. Chess is not in the top 400.
Abalone.
Abalone is not in the top 400. One more guess each. I'm going to pass. I'm going to say 3.
Yeah.
2. Checkers.
He's not there. I'm going to talk the scores and we see how they've done, see how well you did at home. And so we have the scores back in. Sadly, in third place with no correct answers is Amy. She missed Keyforge, one of her favourite ever games. In second with 4 is Nathan at the end, because Jonathan pipped him on one of the Gip Series games. Jonathan sneaks in with 6 because he got one I hadn't played. Ones you could have had Magic the Gathering, Onitama, Keyforge, like I said. You've had Lost Cities, and surprisingly, Seven Wonders Duel is a very good 2
Gutted
player.
we didn't get that.
Hopefully you got some of those at home. If you want to tune in next time for when we're doing another speed quiz, we'll be ready with another question to tease you all. I've been Steve.
I'm Jonathan.
Amy.
Nathan. Bye.
See you next time.
Yeah.
Hello everyone, my name's Annette, and you may know me as Netters Plays. And today on Applied Mechanics, I'm going to go over the game of Fleet the Dice Game. So this is a game that's filled with theme and a whole bunch of combos. So let me show you a little bit about this game and why I really like it. Depending on the number of players, you'll play with a certain amount of boat dice along with the town dice. You'll play a total of 10 rounds, and in each round you'll have a boat, an income, a fishing, which happens every other round, and a town phase. During the boat phase, a player will roll the boat dice, and then a player will draft a die. One boat die will be left over, and all players will obtain that bonus. When a player takes a die, then they'll immediately fill out one of the bubbles listed under that type of fish. When you're filling out these areas, you might unlock either a license or a boat. Licenses will give you special bonuses throughout the gameplay. Boats will allow you to capture fish during the fishing phase. After the boating phase, then you'll get the income phase. During the income phase, or when you collect coins off of the boat dice, you can always fill out the bubbles on the other sheet. Sometimes you'll fill out a star, and a star is a wild, meaning you could fill out any bubble on your sheet. The fishing phase will occur every other round, and during that phase, you'll put a fish in your boats. During the town phase, you'll roll the town dice along with one boat die. If you choose the harbor die, then you can fill out one of the bubbles from the top down in any one of these harbor items. These will give you special bonuses or even boats throughout the game. If you take the market die, then depending on the number of fish you have, you'll obtain a certain amount of coins. If you take the wharf die, then you could fill out a bubble in any one of these buildings. The buildings will give you either special bonuses throughout the game or even major points at the end of the game. So as you can see, this game actually is filled with a lot of theme. You're doing so by drafting dice. You're either taking the die that you want or the one that you don't want your opponents to have. I really enjoy those key decisions on a player's turn. So throughout the game, you're building your engine and obtaining a lot of combos, and that's why I really like Fleet the Dice Game. Well, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
Hi, Mike Delisio from Solo Mode Games. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about a component, a particular type of component. I've talked in the past about how I tend to like games that have nice components, and if there is a game that has a deluxe edition, for example, I'll usually go for that deluxe edition because I like the better components, well, by better, maybe a little bit more deluxe components that come with the game. The type of component I want to talk about today are playmats. Now, playmats are something that, to me anyway, seems to be a relatively recent development in board gaming, and they're usually not part of the actual base game. There are some exceptions to this rule, but generally speaking, playmats for games are things that you can add on as part of maybe a Kickstarter project. They're usually not found in retail editions of games, for example, and so I do tend to like playmats. There's a couple of pretty notable examples. Well, for example, you've got this Rising Sun playmat, and I'm not taking it out of the tube here because it's massive, but it's one of the most impressive looking playmats I've ever seen. It's huge, it's got stitched edging, and especially for that game where you've got those large plastic miniatures, it gives you a little bit more space to move around on the map. And I just recently got a playmat for Raiders of the North Sea. So my question to you is, what are your thoughts on playmats? Do you think that they're unnecessary and maybe over the top, or do you feel that they actually have some real value? My personal opinion is that a playmat should ideally, do something that the regular game board maybe does not. Maybe it's a bit larger. For Rising Sun, it's a larger mat. It gives you a little bit more room when you've got those big minis to get them out there on the table. For the Raiders of the North Sea mat, what I really like about that is that it incorporates elements from the expansions into it as well. So you can play all of the expansion materials if you choose to on that Raiders playmat. So what are your thoughts? Do you feel like playmats are a nice addition to the board gaming community, or do you feel like maybe they're over the top, unnecessary, add to the expense, take up too much table space, etc.? If you can let me know in the comments below, I'd love to hear it. Thank you so much for your time as always, and have a great day.
So what games got added to the library this week? Well, Roll for the Galaxy, already in the library, but now the Rivalry expansion is in it. Whew. It was a bit to get everything inside, but I got it in, and I think it's not too hard to sort out. Grabwell, you're like, what? It's an older game, but I think it's a good one. Found it at a flea market, wanted to add it. Trellis, simple game. I don't know how long it'll be in the library, but I thought it was pretty fun. Faceless, great game with magnets, really enjoyable. Now I just got to persuade people to play it, not be scared away by the cover. Concordia Venus, come on, this was an obvious one, having Concordia in the library. And then finally, the new Giant Rhino Hero. This is one, that people love Rhino Hero, having a giant version of it. Board Game Geek was selling several versions of these, so this was neat to add to the library.
Hi everyone, this is Martin. Welcome to The Cut. In this episode, we count down the top 5 games you want to make if you are brand new to print and play gaming. You're in The Cut, and The Cut starts now. At number 5 is Count of Nine by Scott Allen. This is a Euro town builder and resource gathering game in just 9 cards. Print out the one sheet, cut it out with scissors, and you are off and playing. Number 4 is Orchard by Mark Tuck. A quick solitaire tile-laying game that plays in just under 10 minutes. In Orchard, you score points by laying down cards so that their fruit trees overlap with other trees in the orchard. The more trees overlap, the more they bear fruit, and the higher you score. Number 3 is Deep Space D6 by designer Tony Go. This dice placement combat space game, just 3 pages to print out, 2 pages of cards to cut, and you'll be cruising the stars, dealing with threats both internal and external. Number 2 is Zombie in My Pocket. In this game, you are trapped in your house with never-ending waves of zombies coming after you. You must find the mysterious zombie totem, get it out of the house, and bury it in sacred ground to end this nightmare. And the number 1 game to make if you're brand new to print and play is Mini Rogue. This is a solitaire dungeon crawl in just 9 cards that gives you the feel of a classic PC roguelike game. This game features hordes of monsters, lots of treasure, magic items, powerful spells, and mountains of gold. And there you have it, the top 5 games to make if you're brand new to the world of print and play gaming. This has been Martin. We'll see you next time on The Cut.
Hey guys, back again. It's Nick for Mental Health Minute. And here I'm talking about games that are not good. To some. Games we don't like. There are some games that I don't like, some games that you don't like. But do you have a group of people that you play games with often that love a certain game that you just can't stand? You want to make them happy by playing that game with them because it's something they enjoy. And that's a natural inclination for humans to make other people happy. But you want to figure out a way to make yourself happy during this process. That's going to feel bad. Sometimes you just gotta trudge through it. And the way to look at it is look at the game in a way that you've never looked at it before. Try to play it in a way that makes no sense. A game that's like, why would you do a play like that? That doesn't make any sense. It's a new strategy, it's different, but you don't care if you win because you don't like the game anyway. You just want to add to the experience and try to make it feel so different that it's almost tricking your brain into the idea that this is a different game, that you're not playing a game that you really don't like. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if you put yourself in a certain frame of mind when applying yourself to something that you don't enjoy, you'll have a better chance of having a good time with the people you're with. If you automatically assume that the experience is going to be horrible, it's probably going to be horrible. I get that way with code names. I don't like code names. You know who does like code names? Everyone likes code names. This comes up a lot. So, what's the type of game that you don't really like? Name a few games that you just know you have to play a lot because your playgroup likes it and you really don't look forward to it. And try these strategies out and see what happens. Let me know in the comments below what that looks like for you. And once again, do enjoy your breakfast.
Hello, and welcome back to Retro Board Game Corner. Here I'm showing off Bigfoot, published in 1977 by Milton Bradley. This is a 2 to 4 player game where you're trying to eliminate all the other players by stomping Bigfoot right on top of them. Are you the one that's going to avoid Bigfoot? Let me set this up and show you how it works. This is what the game board will look like set up. First, everybody's going to pick a color, and that's going to be your moving marker in the game. And then you're going to load up Bigfoot here with these chips. 5 of them are going to have footprints, and 5 of them are going to be blanks. So you just want to mix them up like so. And then load it in the bottom of his feet here. After you've completed that, he starts here at Bigfoot's cave. The first player is going to go ahead and put his 2 chips anywhere on the board, followed by all the other players until they're all on the board. Now the first player who's going to roll a 6-sided dice and move that many number of spaces anywhere he wants to go. So 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now each space has a different thing that it does. The blue, you're going to draw a card and just do whatever it says. Normally it says move your player pawn or a specific one to a different location. On a yellow Bigfoot, you're going to move Bigfoot. And on a red Bigfoot, you're going to move Bigfoot double the amount. Green, you're going to be safe. So let's say, for example, that you moved here. You're going to roll the dice and move Bigfoot that many number of spaces. Now, if Bigfoot does not land on a chip, nothing happens. But if there is a chip there where he lands, you're going to go ahead and push down on him to stomp. And if it's a foot, that player is out of the game. If it's a blank, that player is still in the game. So Bigfoot would just end his turn there until he gets to move again. The object of the game is to stay away from Bigfoot and eliminate all the other players. If you have done that, you have won the game. This game is just pretty much a step up from Candyland. But man, the novelty here is Bigfoot. Him just stomping you around as you're putting down these discs. I am so easily amused. Well, that's all the time I have for now. If you have a comment, comment below. Or you can tweet them to me at RetroBoardGamer. And as always, may your rolls be high.
Greetings and welcome to the Mega Meeple. I am Thomas Grogan. In case you haven't noticed, I'm a little up in age. I'm actually a retired forensic specialist. And one of the things, I found myself very fortunate that I have at least enough of my mind and still intact that I could, still enjoy my retirement. So the last thing I want to do in this stage of my life is to make things harder than they really need to be. And that bleeds into how I play board games. Now, if a board game has different levels of difficulty, I'm going to choose the easiest level, even after I've learned how to play the game. Because to me, there is a fine gradient of a line between a game being just hard enough that I feel I accomplished something by winning, and a game being so hard that it becomes totally irritating and aggravating to play. Because to me, the bottom line is I want to have fun. And for the most part, me having fun means either A, I win, or B, I at least had a fighting chance. So what about you? If a game like Arkham Horror, the card game, or Scythe has different levels of difficulty, what level do you like to play at? And when do you know when it's time to move up to the next higher difficulty level? sound off in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. If you want to find out more about the Mega Meeple, just go to the website, www. Yeah, you know what to do. So, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.
So I was thinking this week about the Avengers Endgame. Don't worry, no spoilers here. But Marvel, the universe, I've been a big fan of it. And as Endgame came, it was the most anticipated movie for me of my entire life. So excited to see what was going to happen in this movie, hoping that it would match me reading these comics my entire life. Which it did, by the way. But that's a matter for another time. So I think about these things. When you have this highly anticipated anticipation for something, when it comes in, can it match that? So we bring this into the board game world. So we're starting to see some mega Kickstarters being brought to people. We see Batman Gotham City Chronicles. We see the so many of these different huge Kickstarters are coming in, the Joan of Arc Kickstarter and so on. And these things are big and massive. And the hype for them is here. And I'm not talking about other people's hype. I'm talking about your personal hype where you're like, I cannot wait till this game comes in. And when that happens, is it possible that your hype is so high that it just simply can't meet expectations? You know, we always temper that. You know, when I do anything with my kids, I'm like, oh, this is going to be great, but, you know, it might not be as great as it was. You know, we go to this amusement park. It might not be as fantastic as you think. This movie may not be as great as you think. This game may not be as fun as you think. Because our expectations are like, it's going to be amazing. Now, sometimes our expectations are so high and so fantastic that we make something good, right? It's not so fantastic maybe, but because our expectations were so high, we tend to like it better than it really was. Every problem we wash away, every flaw we can't see. I don't know that that's a horrible thing. It's a bad thing if you're yelling at other people for saying, well, what about this? You're like, nothing, it's perfect. Okay, but for yourself, if you like a game and the hype makes you like it more, how's that a problem? And I almost have an issue with people who try to like smash other people's hype down. The big game comes in, they're like, oh, I'm so hyped about this. They play it, oh, it's so wonderful. And someone else is sitting there going, well, actually, it has these problems. Oh, yeah, okay, but I still really like it. Hype. Is that bad? Is it bad to enjoy games? Is it bad to love this cool thing you bought? And you can sit there and go, you're biased by the fact that you went all in and have 6 million expansions. It will fade away. Well, maybe it will fade away. But right now, let me enjoy it. Right now, let me have a fantastic time playing it. So, can games be too good to be true? Sure. And sometimes your hype still build up that when it comes in, it might be disappointing. But I think more often than not, when it comes in, a lot of times these games meet and sometimes exceed what you were expecting from them.
Happy breakfast, everyone. This week, I'm going to talk to you about the 10th anniversary expansion for Dixit. Now, I haven't actually got one of these expansions before, so to me, getting an expansion for this game is different. And that's pretty much what I'm going to talk about, because this expansion, from what I can tell, is very similar to any of the other expansions. They're all pretty much the same price. They all come with another deck of cards that you can shuffle in. If you add a load more cards in, then all of a sudden there's new pairings. There's new cards. There's a card in here that's got a rainbow on it. There's also a card in the original deck that has a rainbow on it. So if someone makes sort of a reference to that in any way, maybe like a pot of gold or something like that, then there is the opportunity for someone else to play a different rainbow card. And it's those new pairings, those new combos that aren't possible with the base deck, but this then makes it possible. Now, obviously, that's a really specific example to this 10th anniversary edition with a very shiny box. But the logic stands there for all of the other expansions. Now, I've not played any of the others, but the logic stands, if I enjoy this, I'd enjoy the others. I don't think I need too many of them. I might get maybe one or two more because the artwork is glorious. Let's be honest, that's going to get thrown away in the cards put into the base box. Getting something like that will mean the base game, the normal experience, isn't changed, but becomes re-energized. It's fresh again and means it will get back to the table. Anyway, that was Dixit 10th Anniversary Edition, in particular just Dixit expansions, and I'm Oliver East, signing out.
Hi everyone, I'm Doug Jr.
And I'm Doug III.
We're from Doug and Doug Gaming, and you're watching A Fellowship of Meeples. All right, Doug III, if that is your real name, what do all these games have in common?
Honestly, all these games in front of us were all bought used.
To save money, you could turn to the used board game market, right?
Ooh, yeah, you could.
Not necessarily.
Oh.
You see, I've been checking some things out, and oddly enough, the used board gaming market is not very good. Sherlock Holmes, Consulting Detective, Jack the Ripper, the West End Adventure version. Somebody was selling this used for $39. Amazon has it for $43.57. Cool Stuff has it for $44.99 plus shipping. Walmart has it for $44.99 plus they offer free 2-day shipping, no membership required. We had another example we found.
Yeah, another one was Clans of Caledonia. Used online, it was about $40 plus $12 for shipping and handling, so that's $52. On Amazon, $44 with Prime, so that's free shipping. Cool Stuff had $59.49, and then Walmart had it for $54.99 free shipping.
Absolutely. And another example, London, 2nd edition. Used, $30 plus $12 for shipping, $42 total for a used copy from somebody I don't know. Amazon had it for $33, brand new.
Wow.
Cool Stuff has it for $39.99. And Walmart has it for $39.30, free 2-day shipping. Again,
Goodness.
no membership required. So I found a lot of examples like that, and I'm just curious, what's going on with the used board game market? I know it costs money to ship and everything, I get that.
Yeah.
But why would I buy a used copy when I can get a new one? I can get convenient service if I need to return it, those types of things.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you buy used games? I mean, I've bought some.
Like, what's the mindset behind all?
Yeah,
Like, we just want to figure it out. That's all it is.
What's the deal?
Yeah.
So let us know in the comments. This is an unusual situation, so I'm curious for an answer. But we'll be back next time with some more tips to make your gaming group the best it can be. For now, I'm Doug Jr.
I'm Doug III.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Hello, welcome to Dead Last, a segment that I do once as often as I can about board games because I love them so much deep in my dark, dark soul. Now, I buy a lot of games on the second-hand market. I don't buy any hands, I just buy games. And, you know, you expect a certain level of quality from a game in the second-hand market, and that's to have maybe a little bit of shelfware, not to be completely perfect. The last two games I bought were Quo Vadis and Battle Line. Yeah, I know I could have bought Shot and Ton, but I wanted this one, all right? Both Reiner Knizia games, actually. Who knew? But both of these games came in not perfect condition. I wasn't expecting them in perfect condition, obviously. But there's nicks and slight tears and a bit of crumpling in the corners, more so than I was expecting. And it doesn't bother me that much, but they could have just told me that that was going to be the case. I would still have bought them both the price I paid, most likely, but when I put things online, I do try and make sure that if there's a little default, I take a photograph of it and show who I'm selling it to. That's right, isn't it? Am I wrong to be annoyed a little bit? I've got loads. Just a little bit. Let me know. Anyway, see you next week. Bye.
That's it for another Board Game Breakfast. Join us today for a live Q&A at 10 o'clock. We look forward to talking to you guys and saying hi then. And of course, we have different live events going throughout the week. Testing Tuesday tomorrow. On Wednesday, there's nothing live on Wednesday, but on Thursday, live Board Game Breakfast hosted by Sam and Z. So different things coming up. Keep an eye out for those. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast. It's May! Almost.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vasel and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production, sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., an amazing place to buy board games. Cool stuff in stock. at Cool Stuff Inc.